We're going to talk about the fine line between winning and losing. And as it says in your book, it's just as fine as the razor's edge. So let's give John a warm welcome so he comes up to lead us through this next lesson.
Turn over to the razor's edge on 53 at the top. You see the razor's edge. How many people had the opportunity to see the razor's edge? There was two movies, the old one, then the new one. I believe Don Murray played the part in the recent movie. Bill Murray, thank you very much. You know, it's interesting in that particular movie, it's pretty well the story of someone trying to find the meaning to life, the meaning of success. And he ended up in the Himalayas there talking to some great guru. And as he got away up in the mountains there, he met Shirley MacLaine on the way, had a conversation, and he went on, continued on. And, you know, as he met this here great master, he asked him, you know, what is the secret to life? Well, what is this thing all about? What is the difference in winning and losing, and success and failure? And I'll never forget, you know, the analogy went something like this. He said, you know, there's a big path going down here, he said, along this mountain. And he said, the path is very, very small. And as you walk, you can tilt this way, and as you walk, you can tilt that way. But he said the person that gets to the other end, they're walking a path that is as fine as a razor's edge. So the real difference in winning and losing, he said, is as fine as a razor's edge. You know, last night I just watched something that we may never again watch in an entire lifetime, when Gibson came to the plate. You could feel the excitement. And it was master against master. Eckersley against Gibson. Now, you know what's most interesting about Gibson coming to the plate? Why would anyone expect Gibson to hit a home run at that time when he has probably the lowest batting average in the playoffs in this series of anybody on that team? Well, you see, Gibson will do what he has to do when he has to do it. You think about this. Do you know that the people who come to these seminars the most are the ones who need it the least? The ones who do not come are the ones who need it the most. Now, the real razor's edge difference works this way for you and for me. Many, many years ago, there's a great story told about a guy named Charles Schwab, who was the president of Bethlehem Steel and eventually put together the package called U.S. Steel. And he was approached by a guy named Ivy Lee. Ivy Lee walked in and he said, Mr. Schwab, I believe that we have an idea that could dramatically increase your business, he said, beyond where it is. And the most interesting thing about that is that when Schwab said to him, well, we already know what it is we should be doing, but if you can show us a better way of getting it done, we'll listen to you and pay you anything within reason. Well, Ivy Lee took out a sheet of paper and he started to write on it. And he said, now I want you to get out a sheet of paper. Now he said, what I'd like you to do, Mr. Schwab, is write down the 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow. Schwab did as requested. Now he said, first thing tomorrow morning, I want you to take out that list. And he said, you'll have them numbered in priorities. Priority A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now he said, I want you to work on number 1. And don't go to number 2 until you complete number 1. He said, then you try the idea, put it to work for 60 days, send me a check for whatever you think the idea is worth. 60 days later, Ivy Lee received a letter stating that the lesson had been the best he had ever learned from a business point of view. And he enclosed a check for $25,000. Now I want you to write down the 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow. That could be the razor's edge difference for you. Now you put it to work and in 60 days you can send me a check for $25,000. But you see, there is such a small difference in the people that are actually coming up with the results versus the people that are not getting the results. What is the difference in person B and we'll say person A? What is the basic difference? I mean, they both have, we'll say, the same aptitude, same education, maybe come from the same neighborhood, may work in the same company. They may have even gone to the same schools. But it seems that person A, they just keep on achieving even though they have great adversities. But person B never really gets off the launching pad. What is the basic difference in these two people? Well, I believe it's the razor's edge. That there is such a fine line that separate people. Now, I want you to consider this. Wade Boggs was the leading hitter in the major leagues, in the American League in the last season, and perhaps for the last 5. He ended up with a batting average of about .358. The person who was the 10th highest hitter in the major leagues was somewhere around .301. What is the real difference in Wade Boggs and the person who was in 10th place? Consider it. For every 10 times that Boggs goes to bat, he gets 3.58 hits. The person who is hitting .301 out of 10 times at bat gets 3.01 hits. The real difference in these two people is not even a half a hit for every 10 times they go to the plate. But Boggs is earning $1.7 million a year, and I noticed the 10th place hitter was earning about $280,000 a year, even though there's a small difference in the number of hits they get, less than a half a hit. The difference in income is absolutely phenomenal. You go back to a day when the greatest base stealer in the history of the major leagues, a guy by the name of Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb, we remember, as a fearless individual that always played to win. But do you know that Ty Cobb, he had what is called a stolen base percentage of 71%. In the same year that Cobb was recognized for his greatness, there was a man named Kanary, and I'll guarantee you few people have ever heard of him. Kanary had a stolen base percentage of 98%. Do you know he had 53 attempts? He was only caught twice, which meant he had 51 stolen bases. 51 stolen bases. Why is it we remember Cobb so well? Tell you why. It wasn't because Cobb was caught 38 times. 38 times Cobb was caught stealing second base, or third, or home. That's not why we remember Cobb. Cobb stole 96 bases. That's not why we remember Cobb. Someone has broken his record. Do you know why everyone remembers the great Ty Cobb? Is because he made 134 attempts. Was the razor's edge difference that Cobb was a better base stealer? Or was it because he made more attempts than this man Kanary? That was the real razor's edge difference. Now, I'm going to give you one simple little formula that will act as the razor's edge difference for you. Just one. That's all, just one. Then I want to cover the book, and we'll get into the last 2 lessons with Robert. Now, here it is. The common denominator of success. The very simple formula, not an easy one, but a very simple one. It works like this. A man wrote a marvelous little book, 20 pages, and he entitled it The Common Denominator of Success. And he said the common denominator of success in his business, your business, my business, any business, is in forming the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. Now think about this. Failures, this individual is influenced in pleasing methods only, whereas this person, the success type individual, they're influenced by pleasing results only. They have formed the habit of doing things that this person does not like to do. Think about it. Are you influenced by pleasing results? Or are you influenced by pleasing what is called methods? What are you influenced by? Are you influenced by where you're going? Or are you influenced in defending where you are? Because the razor's edge difference could be just one simple action that you do every single day. The 6 most important things that are going to move you in the direction of your goal. And that's basically what it comes down to. Let's look at this and see what we come up with on page 53. Because we promised we'd get you out of here by 5 o'clock. It says you are likely 1 inch, 1 step, 1 idea away from turning on to the boulevard of beauty in your life. It has often been said that that line which separates winning from losing is as fine as the razor's edge, and it really is. Somerset Maugham wrote an entire book entitled A Razor's Edge, and Darryl F. Zanuck spent $4 million producing a movie which had the same title. Both of these great people, author and movie maker alike, knew there wasn't a big difference among people. There was only a difference in the things that they accomplished. And that was the theme of the movie as well as the book. One person just about starts a project. Well, are you one that just about starts it? Or are you the person that actually gets it started and completes it? One individual almost completes a task, but the other completes it. One student nearly passes the exam, the other person passes it. And although the difference in their marks may be only 1 percentage point out of 100, it is that 1 percentage point that makes all the difference in the world. Now turn the page. Now, you could spend some time reading page 54. But you see, the whole idea is not in what you read on 54, not what you read in Born Rich, not what you listen to from the tape in Born Rich. The difference is whether or not you are prepared to write out a list of actions that are razor edge activities and then make a commitment to do them. Remember yesterday I mentioned the word excellence? Excellence is that fine line. It is only a commitment to completion. That's all excellence means. It's a commitment to completion. So you see, it doesn't matter how many books you read. It doesn't matter how many seminars you go to, how many tapes you hear, how many experiences you've had. The difference is you know what you have to do. There isn't one person in here that cannot intellectually comprehend what it is they have to do and write it down as a razor's edge activity. As a razor's edge activity. Anytime that I mention this 9 o'clock idea, 9 a.m. idea that I just want to share with you for a moment, and I look at a guy up there named Grant Sylvester. He knows it as well as anybody. But I can remember when earlier on, about 18 years ago, Bob would talk about the 9 a.m. call. In other words, about being in front of people at 9 a.m. every day. And you know, I tried that one time. And they say that trying is failure with honor. But I didn't try it. I made a commitment it was going to work. There's a big difference. And you know, I couldn't begin to tell you some of the rewards that I've enjoyed from that razor's edge activity just by getting started maybe an hour early. Do you know that if you start something an hour early, or if you work an hour later, do you know that's 9 40-hour weeks that you enjoy each additional year? Just 1 more hour is a razor's edge activity that'll give you 9 40-hour weeks of productivity in your life, no matter what area of your life you're talking about. When are you going to do something about it? When are you going to sit down, take this page, page 55, and actually list some things that you are definitely going to do, which are relatively simple things, and again, they're not easy. Anybody that ever tells us something is easy, they say that because they don't do it. There isn't anything that's easy. You know, it's interesting how last night, you look on the dugout and they're talking about where is Kurt Gibson. Obviously, he's not dressed tonight. A number of years ago in Michigan, Kirk Gibson was having problems hitting left-handed pitchers because he's a left-handed hitter. And he was having such a hard time that he actually went and he took a course on visualization because it was affecting how he hit right-handed pitchers. Let me tell you what happened. Not only did he start hammering right-handed and left-handed pitchers, but last night what you experienced was a man who made a decision and who made a commitment to completion. He come out there in two gimpy legs in pain. He had a hard time running around the bases. But did you notice that in pain he was in joy? Did you notice in pain he was in happiness? Did you notice in pain he was in victory? Did you notice in pain that he was a winner? He knows the difference as far as the razor's edge is concerned. I don't know if he knows how to verbalize it, but I can tell you this. He knows how to act on it. He knows how to act on it. He could have said, Tommy, I don't feel good enough to go. Tommy, I don't think I can make it. Tommy, you should use someone else. No, he said, Tommy, I'm available when you need me. When the reporters asked him, why would you even think of playing with such pain and such injuries? He looked at the reporter and he said, have you ever played baseball? So what is the Razor's Edge activity for you? On page 56, just to complete this, if you're employed in a sales capacity, consider the dynamic sales presentation which you could be developing in a month or two. If you simulated a sales presentation with an imaginary prospect or possibly one of your associates every day for 1 hour, imagine what would happen if you practice your craft every day. Imagine what would happen if you practice your craft as a parent, if you practice your craft in your profession, if you practice your craft in your family life, in your personal life, and with your friends. Can you imagine what would happen? Well, you see, if you're only going to try it for a week, I want to tell you now, don't do it because the frustration will be worse than ever. If you're going to try it for 2 weeks, maybe. But if you want it to really work, I'll tell you this. You give the next 90 days of your life, the next 90 days of your life, the very best you've got, and I'll guarantee you one thing. Life will give you everything you want for the rest of your life. 90 days. I could go through this, and at the bottom, it's asking you to make a commitment. I'm going to suggest that sometime this week, and you know, tomorrow you're going to be very tired. But I'm going to suggest tomorrow, just give some thought to what we were covering today in the Razor's Edge, because the difference is action, the difference is activity, the difference is doing. The difference is really doing. And then you make a commitment on what you're going to do with this page. And don't allow others, don't allow events to control your activity. Don't allow that. I kind of like, you know, the guy who was walking back and forth in front of the bed on a Sunday night, and his wife said, "Are you ever going to come to bed? It's midnight." He said, "I can't." He said, "Why not?" He said, "I'm having a problem." He said, "The mortgage is due tomorrow, and we have no money in the bank." She said, "Isn't that so-and-so down the street where our bank manager lives? Isn't that the bank we deal with? Isn't he the manager?" He said, "That's right." Went over, she picked up the phone, she called him. She had a few words and hung up the phone. She said, "Now, will you get into bed?" He said, "What did you do?" He said, "I just called the bank manager and let him know that you can't make the mortgage payment tomorrow. He'll be up all night worrying about it. You get to bed." Excellence is a commitment to completion, and that's the difference in the Razor's Edge activities you're going to get involved in to really make this program work for you.
And I'm sure you can relate that to almost any experience in your life. Whether it be in relationships, the Razor's Edge may be commitment. Whether it be in selling, the Razor's Edge may be one more call. Whether it be in just your family life, the Razor's Edge might be just turning off the television for maybe 1/2 hour each day. For me, in doing the seminars and the things that I've been able to accomplish through the seminars, the Razor's Edge for me has been persistence. In other words, when I was in doubt, I went to work. When I was in doubt, I went forward. When I wanted to quit, I took one more step ahead. So the razor's edge is always perhaps a decision, and I think that this is probably very, very significant to anyone that we may be sharing with today. But I know that we don't have as many problems as we have decisions to make. And quite often that problem mushrooms only because of the lack of decision. So the razor's edge for a lot of people could be to make a decision even though they don't have a complete set of facts to operate with. Make a decision, and usually by making that decision, the next decision will be revealed to you.
Now on page 55, there's a space there for you to jot down 6, 7, 8 little things that'll make a big difference. I'm not suggesting that you use them all, but at least recognize a half a dozen and then implement them. Remember, right at the beginning of the book, we point out that reading and memorizing isn't going to do you any good. It's understanding and application that's really going to make the difference. So before you proceed any further, make sure that page 55 is complete.